President of the Trump Organization. He's also the son of the President of the United States. Eric, how do you describe what is going on between your father and the so-called squad, and now all the Democrats?
Well, I describe the squad as an absolute clown show. I mean, listen, back up, 2 weeks, you had Kamala Harris call Biden a racist, right? Then all of a sudden, you had, the squad call Pelosi a racist. Then all of a sudden, they asked my father, is Pelosi a racist? No, of course she's not a racist. It's just a term that they like to use every day. Then, 2 nights later, she's calling my father. I mean, this is what's happening to the party, and it's totally feeding into our hand. And I hope they keep on doing it because they're not getting anything done. They throw out a word. If anybody thinks differently than them, if anybody looks different than them, if anybody acts different, if anybody has different beliefs or thoughts, right, they have no message. So what do they go do? You're a racist. You're a this. You're a that. I mean, the name calling is not going to work when you have the greatest economy that's ever existed in the U.S. You have the lowest unemployment. People are doing awesome. America's doing awesome. This is the most hate-filled group I've ever seen before. They're letting, ICE offices get stormed and have the American flag ripped down and have the Mexican flag put up. They say anti-Semitic things every single day. They're constantly attacking.
Right, but Eric, it all got started with your dad's tweet about go back. Was that appropriate? Some Republicans are saying, "Yeah, I wish you wouldn't."
I love the tweet. If you don't love our country, get out, leave. If you complain about our country, go to somewhere, go experience somewhere else in the world. I've seen a lot of the world, right? We have it so great in America. America is doing so well. We're the best at absolutely everything we do. And you go see some of the conditions around the world. I'm not saying America doesn't have certain problems. Go see the conditions around the world. And you'll be so fortunate you live here. We are blessed to live in this country. And if you're not happy about it, I like his message. Leave.
It's interesting that they're calling your dad out on decorum, yet they're breaking House rules and breaking decorum. So it's on both sides. But if you look at the issues, what are the issues that your dad stands for? I mean, I heard Jim Jordan yesterday on Martha's show, and he was going down the long list of what your dad's done for the country. It says you might not like some of the tweets, you might not like the messaging, but look at what he's doing for your paycheck and for your household. Sure. And then he reminded all of us of what those four ladies stand for. It's abolish ICE, and it's abolish Homeland Security. It's called what's happening on the border, concentration camps. What's your response?
Attack Israel and many other things that they do and accomplish nothing. Just throw out the race card all day long and accomplish nothing. The amazing thing about my father I've seen in my whole life, the guy's the greatest fighter in the world, right? I mean, he's willing to fight. And I've said this time and time again, but America didn't have a fighter. For administrations, by the way, both on the Republican and Democratic side, we haven't had somebody in there fighting. We haven't had somebody fighting against China. We haven't had somebody fighting against Mexico, the bad trade practices, immigration. No one's been fighting for our military. No one's been fighting for our vets. No one's been fighting for our economy. No one's been fighting for our jobs or manufacturers or farmers. And guys, I could go on and on. No one's been fighting for American pride and standing up for, the national anthem and standing up for our flag and not allowing our flag to be burned in the streets, right? And no one's been fighting for these things. And my father's in there and he's fighting every single day. And he has to fight against the media. And he has to fight against these lunatics. And guys, I'm telling you, 95% of this country is behind him in this message. I mean, people love this nation.
Well, certainly the Republicans. And with this, evidently, his approval amongst Republicans ticked up to 72%. I think overall it's at, in some polls, up to 90.
Up 5 points in 1 week.
Yeah, so it's up 5 points. But it did drop with independents. And you know as much as anyone, because you dive all over these numbers, independents and undecideds will decide the election.
By the way, you know how phony all of these polls are. First of all, his polls have never been better. His polls right now were better than Obama at the exact same time. His polls right now were better than Bush at the exact same time. He's killing it in the polls. But we also know how phony these polls are. We saw it every single day. We saw these sample sets where they're sampling 3 times as many Democrats as they are Republicans, where they're sampling 2 times as many college-educated people. I mean, these are suppression polls. If anybody ever tells me that the polls are there and they're not intended to suppress votes,
what does that mean?
I would laugh. They put out fake numbers. Just go read the backup of these polls. They put out phony numbers. ABC.
Are you saying so it will demoralize somebody from, he's already lost, I'm not going to vote for him?
Guys, there's no question about it. ABC Washington Post put out a poll 2 weeks to the day before the election that my father was down 13%, right? Now, they oversampled Democrats in that poll by 11%. Guys, it's crazy. It's crazy. And the average person doesn't take the time to actually go read the backup to these polls.
Yeah.
Right?
Eric, how do you feel about people who say The president's watching Pelosi and the squad kill each other, call each other racist, say they're not even speaking. And they indicate again, they don't even speak, right? Yet they're getting all the publicity. Who are these people? They're small districts in heavily Democratic district, 9% approval. And then the president asserts himself in. And when your opponent's killing each other, why put yourself in the middle of it? What about the strategy of him putting himself in the middle of it?
Well, they are killing. In fact, he came to the defense of Nancy Pelosi last week when they asked him, is she a racist? And he said, no, I don't think she's a racist. It's just how they're trying to label her for their own political gain. But it's really amazing. If you look at Nancy Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi used to be the far left fringe of the Democratic Party. Now she's like a moderate. And guys, the reason we're going to win again, the reason my father's going to win again is this isn't the party of JFK anymore. I mean, this isn't the Democratic Party. I mean, this is literally a radical socialist party that does not relate to everyday Americans.
And here's what's different about your campaign this time. Evidently, there's a huge focus on small donors. And you spend $7.9 million in digital advertising to get small donors involved, unlike last time. And you're up to $39 million. Why is it important to go after small donors?
Well, listen, it's everything. It's a heartbeat of this country, right? And by the way, they were always our people. We never did well with the wealthy guys. You would think maybe because he's a billionaire, we would. But we never did wealthy with it. You know, we always had these rallies. You'll see it tonight, and I'll be there tonight in North Carolina. But we always had these rallies where you'd have 30, 40, 50,000 people chanting, USA, 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 make America great, keep America great. Right? I mean, that's the heart and soul of our nation. And those are the people my father's done.
I've never understood that, why the wealthy wouldn't vote for a fiscal conservative. Because
I've seen it all my life. My father's
Why is that, though? Because if you talk to the Democrats, they want universal income. They don't want the wealthy to make as much as they do.
He's always been a kind of blue-collar billionaire. It's kind of a funny term that somebody once phrased, but I think it sums him up perfectly. Like, he always did much better with the worker on the construction site than he did with the boss of the construction company. He always had more respect for the person. He always he always related to that person much more.
Well, one thing I think the average person relates to is how they are personally doing, and we've seen all the metrics. The economy is doing great. The stock market is at historic highs and things like that. But one of the criticisms I've heard of the administration is they're not doing a good enough job talking about how great the numbers are.
You know what? Because the media doesn't want to cover it, because 92% is negative coverage. And you know what the scary thing for me is, and the reason our family fights as hard as we all do collectively? If one of these lunatics got into office, you watch what happens to the economy. You may as well pull your money out of the bank, hide it under your mattress. I mean, literally, our economy in this country would crater if one of these people got in. And it's scary. And that's, guys, why we have to win again. We are doing so well as a country. We're going to win this again.
And no one talks about the rivalry between you and Don Jr. Don with how many kids?
5.
And now you have 1, and you have. How close are you to closing that gap?
We're on baby watch now. We're within about 4 or 5 weeks right now. So it's